Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. Our major stories tonight: civil society actors and political analysts are in arms over elecam's alleged registration of minors, citing a grave threat to electoral integrity. They deemed or demand immediate rectification and strict enforcement of electoral laws to restore public trust and prevent manipulation of the electoral process. Away from that, the Constitutional Council's declaration has sparked controversy, with many seeing it as a move against Professor Maurice Kamto's candidacy. This development validates Honorable Laurentine Koualfegers, who is the eldest member of Parliament, March warning, where she sounded the alarm on potential electoral chaos and urged vigilance from all stakeholders. Those are top stories tonight. Stay with us for the news in full in a jiffy. Thank you so much for staying with us on this edition of the news. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. The rapid degradation of roads in the economic capital city, Douala, is becoming a great concern to road users and residents alike. A case in point is the road linking Lokpom to Peka 11 and Peka 14. The newly constructed stretch is gradually degrading, thus affecting economic activities in the neighborhood. Malagleri was in these neighborhoods and now reports on the state of these roads.
This is the most popular road in the Lokpom neighborhood because it connects the neighborhood to Peka 11 and other localities. The construction of the road came as a relief to residents. In less than 8 months, they complain of the degrading nature of the newly constructed road.
Il est inadmissible qu'en moins de 8 mois, une route est...
It is unacceptable that a road constructed in less than 8 months is already bad. I am saying it here so the authorities concerned can take appropriate measures. That is why we need serious people to govern us in this country. We really need change.
C'est pour ça que nous ne voulons plus des régime irresponsable pour nous diriger.
This part of the stretch is completely damaged, giving way to soil and water to come to the surface, making it muddy. A situation that affects residents and vehicle owners who have to slow down when they get to this spot to avoid damaging their cars or causing accidents. According to an engineer in road construction, the rehabilitation of roads during the rainy season is very costly, and Cameroon doesn't have the capacity because it needs high-quality materials.
Calculations have been done very well, but the problem is that those who have to apply it on the field have not respect certain norms. This rain period is not normal to construct road. Is a type of materials that using for construct the route, which cause a problem of degradation.
Away from Lokpom is the road linking Peka 11 to Peka 14. Patches, potholes and craters visible on the road has made it practically difficult to motorists plying it. The poor nature of the road is gradually affecting economic activities. I spend money at the garage every week to fix my car, and even at this stage we still have police control. It is really aching. I am tired. Residents of these neighborhoods fear the situation might worsen if nothing is done.
Over to politics. With the October 12 presidential elections looming, Cameroon civil society actors are sounding the alarm over potential electoral manipulation. The site concerns over the delayed publication of the electoral register and the disturbing presence of underage voters on Elections Cameroon's website. Acilus Liengu reports.
Ahead of the October 12 presidential election, voices have risen for free, fair and transparent elections. For the past few days, details of deceased persons and minors below the age of 18 on the Elections Cameroon website have been circulating on social media. This is happening while the publication of the electoral list is still awaited. Civil society actors say they should be questioned.
The pictures I saw, children of between 14 to 16 years and 18 years being enrolled on the electoral list, is just a very clear reason as to why the Elections Cameroon has refused to publish the electoral list, which of course there is no doubt that that is the beginning of fraud.
And a list of minors on the website shows a red flag and questions Elecam's integrity.
Song Derrick, a civil society actor, further states this discredits the electoral process.
It poisons the electoral process because when minors who can't vote are put in the electoral list, it gives us ghost voters who are going to have fake votes and vote fake leaders who give us fake promises.
To ensure transparent elections in the country, Dium Emmanuel believes that Cameroonians must be fully involved in the counting of votes when the time comes.
And I'm advising that the counting of the votes this time around should not be left into the hands of those who are in the polling station. It should be an affair of all the citizens. If not, then we are finished. We all know that Elecam is not serving Cameroon.
While Song Derrick thinks,
I think Elecam has the resources it takes to get database experts, because the system needs experts in data management. Because if we leave data management in the hands of politicians, these are the kind of results we're going to get.
Like civil society actors, politicians such as Edith Kawala of the Stand Up for Cameroon movement are also against electoral manipulation.
Coming up, we take you into the genesis of the conflict of leadership within the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, MANIDEM. Our findings point to the fact that Anicet Ekane's leadership of the party is upheld by the party's internal rules and regulations and both administrative and judicial decisions. Babla Jonathan tells us more.
Le MANIDEM était dans cette tourmente.
The power tussle in the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, better known by its French language acronym MANIDEM, began escalating in 2017 when the then President Dieudonné Yebga and his followers organized a congress in Bankomo and expelled Anicet Ekane and 3 other party members.
Il y a une crise politique née du fait que sorti du congrès de 2015 au MANIDEM.
The political crisis triggered by the fact that the president elected at the Congress decided to sanction those who suggested him for the position in violation of all rules took both a mystical and political twist.
À la fois mystique, une dérive qui est en marge soit de la ligne politique.
We will continue working, but the president and his group will be isolated. 2nd July 2018, during the 4th Congress of MANIDEM, Anicet Ekane was conferred the power to restructure the party. The resolutions of the Congress, including the decision to hand over the party's leadership for a period of restructuring to Anicet Ekane, were recognized by competent territorial authorities.
J'imagine tout simplement que Ekane Anicet est utilisé par le pouvoir.
I think Ekane Anicet is being manipulated by the authorities. He was suspended from the party on the 29th of July 2017. The administration was informed, so we don't understand why the administration has authorized him and others to meet and speak on behalf of MANIDEM.
De parler au nom du MANIDEM.
17th July 2018. A ministerial decision signed by Territorial Administration Minister Tanganji Paul confirmed Anicet Ekane's leadership of MANIDEM. Judicial procedures engaged by Dieudonné Yebga will not prosper. The decision of the Minister of Territorial Administration is upheld. The conflict resurfaced recently after Anise Kane and his comrades decided to present Professor Maurice Kamto as candidate for the October 12 presidential election.
Still in politics, the recent declaration of incompetence by the Constitutional Council, citing the non-existence of an electoral body as demanded by Professor Maurice Kamto amidst apparent maneuvers against his candidacy in the 2025 presidential election, exemplifies the practical manifestation of fears raised by the esteemed member of Cameroon's National House of Assembly, Honorable Laurentine Kouafeugue, 4 months ago. In a prophetic and stern warning against the potential chaos in Cameroon, Honorable Kouafeugue challenged the Constitutional Council, ELECAM, the administration and other stakeholders in the electoral process to vigilantly and truthfully perform their duties independently in the 2025 presidential elections. Femi Armstrong Sanda revisits the March 2025 incident.
An unusual warning call to actors of the electoral system in Cameroon, a deep-sinking interpellation from the eldest member of parliament, Honorable Laurentine Kouafeugue, who urged actors, notably Elections Cameroon, ELECAM, the Constitutional Council, the civil society and the government of Cameroon to ensure that Cameroon does not fall into a bloodbath or chaos because of practical irregularities in the electoral process.
Que ceux qui ont la charge d'organiser sachent.
To all those involved, I say, those who are responsible for organizing, let them know how to organize in accordance with the established rules. Let those who have to judge say the law and nothing but the law. Let those who know how to mobilize so that when the time comes, we beat all records for participation.
Afin d'éloigner de notre terre le spectre de la division.
One of the major concerns is the non-publication of the national list as required by Section 80 of the Electoral Code.
Till today, ELECAM has violated that law, has not published the national list. We are waiting. It is a must for ELECAM to publish the national list so that Cameroonians can consult and know the problems that they can find on the list, and again seize ELECAM for corrections.
Another issue is the alleged manipulation of voter registration by Elections Cameroon. Many registered voters, including some 40 in Paris, France, claim that they haven't received their voters' card. This has sparked concerns about inconsistent registration periods and biased electoral processes.
We can only be on our knees asking Elections Cameroon to avoid chaos in 2025, because if those statistics are not available, it is an indicator that elections will be rigged.
The lack of independence in institutions like Elections Cameroon, ELECAM, and the Constitutional Council is also a pressing concern.
Look, the National Assembly does not reflect the aspiration of the citizens. The Senate does not represent the aspiration of the citizens. The ELECAM does not represent the aspirations of the citizens. The Constitutional Council does not represent the aspiration of the citizens. So all those are institutions put in place to serve a king.
Furthermore, Cameroon's electoral code has been criticized for being biased, with certain provisions favoring the ruling party and the incumbent president. This has led to accusations of electoral fraud and manipulation, eroding trust in the democratic process.
Now we talk something else. Prime Minister Joseph Jangote has marked a major milestone for the port of Douala Bonaberi following the foundation stone laying ceremony of the Dibamba Industrial Port Activity Zone on July 24th. He laid the foundation stone for the port modernization and expansion project on the right banks of the Wari River. The project, valued at 233 billion francs CFA, will be executed by Africa Ports Development over the next 5 years. Innocent Aze reports.
The foundation stone laying on the right bank of the Wari River on Friday by Prime Minister and Head of Government Chief Dr. Joseph Jangote comes a day after he laid the foundation stone for the construction of the Dibamba Industrial Port Activity Zone in Misole 1, Sanaga Maritime Division of the Littoral Region. That which took place in the Douala 4 subdivision will see the construction of a mixed bulk terminal on the right bank of the Wori River, deemed significant in the modernization and expansion of the ports of Douala Bonaberi. According to Sirusungo, General Manager of the Port Authority of Douala, they resolutely opted for controlled, structured development that is intensely focused on sustainable performance, since the Port Authority of Douala is faced with gradual saturation of its existing infrastructure, a direct consequence of the growing vitality on its logistics and industrial activities. With an estimated total cost of about 233 billion francs CFA, the project will cover 36 hectares and feature 900-meter long quay equipped with state-of-the-art handling equipment. The General Manager of the Africa Ports Development, Wissam Daku El Aridi, cites silos with a total capacity of 60,000 tons, 6 warehouses totaling 31,000 meters square, a road network, railway, gas pipelines, and a firefighting system, among other facilities, to constitute this large-scale project to be realized in 5 years. This project aims to transform the right bank of the Wori River into a new benchmark port and industrial hub, serving as both lever for local development and a catalyst for national competitiveness. Apart from this, the project will provide thousands of indirect and direct jobs to the local population, according to the Prime Minister, Chief Dr. Joseph John Gute. From this, several infrastructural projects will emerge within the Wori division.
Avec un train de fond, la création de milliers d'emplois directs et indirects au profit de nos jeunes compatriotes.
Before the 5-year deadline, a new image of the port of Douala Bonaberi is expected to have emerged. A resilient port operator, fully compliant with international standards, and apt to consolidate its role as a strategic hub in the Gulf of Guinea.
Now we move to the town of Boya, where some inhabitants of Boya have considered the laying of the foundation stone for the construction of a refinery in Kribi as proof of incoherence in the current regime. This is because in the month of May, Prime Minister Joseph John Gute told the people of the southwest region that it was technically impossible. Rex Afon spoke to some of them and put together their thoughts in the following report.
For months, residents and drivers have raised alarm over the crumbling nature of this road linking Mile 17 to Mutengene, but their cries have mostly fallen on deaf ears.
Where we are is Mile 16. It has now become the epicenter of traffic congestion due to the poor state of the road. The visit of the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Ganou Jumesi, to the southwest region to inspect roads that were supposed to be under construction, the population say it should not just be another scheme because of the upcoming elections, but it should be a genuine intention to alleviate the suffering that these people are going through on a daily basis.
It cannot be the time of election that they should come and fool us. If they want to work, they should work sincerely. You see now, the Anglophone people have suffered a lot. You know, there is no road. All the road is Boya is bad, the road is Limbe, everywhere is bad.
Despite repeated promises made by government, nothing seems to be materializing on ground. The visit of the Minister of Public Works, Emmanuel Ganou Jumesi, some hope will bring at least temporary relief. He met with the contractors, but there is no guarantee the problem will be solved soonest. The ministers, however, said works should begin immediately, though the contractors have demanded a little more time to transport working materials to the sites.
We have not mobilized any equipment on the site since we have the service on our side. Get the equipment you can hire.
The suffocating nature of this road has made its fixing a matter of emergency.
I've been here for about 2 hours, going to 3 hours since, waiting for vehicle, traffic, because of the condition of the roads. And every time that I want to go to Limbe, that is how we struggle to have car or vehicles to go to Limbe.
It tears my car like an old clothes every day because the road is actually bad. From Boya to Limbe, from Limbe to Duala, nearly everywhere in Fako. We are feeling bad.
The Mai 17 to Mutengene road, some critics say, remains a symbol of government neglect and poor governance. Until decisive action is taken, the suffering continues.
We are sorry for that technical mix-up. We'll be coming back to the reports done by Rex Afons on the concerns of the people of the Southwest region as far as the fact that the refinery has been transferred to Kribi. And now, that's it for this first part of the news. Cameroon Today comes up next. Makombe, Dobian and Yaklong villages in the Camp Division are suffocating under the weight of neglect. Abandoned construction projects, a neglected integrated health center, and impassable roads have become the norm. Smaji Gabriel sheds light on the plight of these forgotten communities. His report.
During our last report, we had a stopover at the Integrated Health Center of Sohok with one doctor in charge of 13 villages. Our hope is for a change to be done before our next report. Hopefully, as we continued our venture, we came across travelers coming from Konjok, all choked up at the back of a pickup like sardines. Bafang Konjok is 10,000 francs CFA through and through, since the distance is not that long. It is the reason we are calling on the government to help us. Duala Konjok is 20,000 francs CFA, which is very expensive with the difficulties we are experiencing in the country. We work, but still no money, but we pay 20,000 francs CFA to our village. It is not normal. Though we changed the locality, the same problem of roads remain. Our next stopover was at Ndobian in North Makombe, located beneath a valley and having a very difficult road, which sometimes we are forced to move on foot. Our GPS, however, couldn't trace any motorable road on this stretch. On our way, we noticed heavy-duty machines sent to work on the road, which also needs to be repaired. Here is the government primary school Yaklon, constructed some few years ago. The primary school now looks like a haunted home, as no pupil still remains here, which indicates how enclaved the locality is. 2 years back, we are told just 2 pupils were present, but today no one is left. Information gathered from natives say the school has a head teacher who is still on government's payroll till date. The school was constructed thanks to fundings received from the European Union, but today it has been abandoned. It takes a courageous person to get into the school, which has been engulfed by grass. As we continued, the more the frustration at the summit of the valley. We moved down the bay for another wall. Few kilometers after, we met a beautiful structure taken over by grass. This is the Integrated Health Center of Ndobian. New equipment which haven't been used, abandoned. This Integrated Health Center has been existing for the past 5 years. The materials were not the problem. Mattresses and medications have all been locked up in a room. Surprisingly is that all of the equipment found in the health center are still brand new. This refrigerator, for example, since it was bought, it has never served the purpose it was brought here, though some medications have been reserved inside. Some kilometers from here at Sohok, no equipment, but the patients are many. According to information on the public contract website, the Integrated Health Center of Ndobian cost about 8 million francs CFA. As per a media release on the wall of the health center, it's been 1 year that the chief medical officer is out of the hospital. The control post of the forest guards in Dobian has also been abandoned. As we continue descending the hill, we were stopped by this river. The river is the boundary between the littoral and west region. When you cross the river about 10 kilometers, you meet Bazu and Bangante. The bridge that used to help motorbikes to cross the river has since collapsed. It hasn't been rehabilitated. At the site, working equipment destined for the construction of the bridge abandoned. Bulldozer, iron rods, and several bags of cement, forcing the inhabitants to cross on foot. It's very complicated, as during rainy days, we are forced to carry our luggages on our head with water at neck level. It's because the water level is down, but if we came earlier, the water will be higher than this, and we can't cross. When it is raining, no bike can dare Cross the Makombe, the people ask for one thing, which is the rehabilitation of the bridge and roads to enable the free circulation of the farm produce.
That's it for the second part of the news. Talking Point comes up next. Tonight on Talking Point, I'll be receiving NJI Lucas. He is a civil society actor, and we'll be discussing on some of the changes made on the website of the Ministry of Territorial Administration recently. Good evening. It's a pleasure having you on Talking Point tonight. NJI Lucas, what are your thoughts on the Ministry of Territorial Administration's decision to update the party's leadership information for Manidem, PCRN and SDF party during such a crucial period, and also at night when the electoral board is currently examining the candidatures?
Immaculate, it should be recorded that the Ministry of Territorial Administration is a ministry that manages associations and political parties within the Republic of Cameroon. Thus, there are information that they sometimes go on their websites to look at. But as per your question regarding my thoughts, firstly, I would like to highlight the fact that Minister Paul Atanganji has demonstrated actions being so partisan with certain members who oppose their fellow member in their respective political party. A case in point is the case of Robert Kona and Cabral Libi, that after a certain court decision that will later on move to an appeal court decision, Minister Paul Atanganji preferred Robert Kona. He brandished him before the world that he is the head of the PCRN political party. We have seen the same case with the CPP of Edi Kawala. It happened the same until when the court gave a ruling and we saw the situation that was no longer the same. So it is not strange as concerning Minister Paul Atanganji. This is because he has demonstrated that he is impartial as concerning certain things, but which is not the case within the Republic of Cameroon. Now, when you evaluate his actions, they are more of someone who is in a very subtle way wants to incite people with violence. Because you may want to ask yourself questions that it was only shortly after Maurice Kamto was preferred by the Manidem party that we saw a certain Yebga who surfaced, and today he is being portrayed by the Ministry of Territorial Administration as the head of the said party. We're talking about the Manidem party, where Anisene Kane had earlier had a press conference with Maurice Kamto where they cleared the air as per the controversies that surrounded Maurice Kamto's eligibility for the upcoming presidential election. So I think that the minister is not indeed acting as a minister at this moment. He is acting as a member of the ruling CBDM party who has in several cases vowed not speaking in his party regalia. Because if a minister, of course, they are all political and they have their political rights, their social, economic and political rights, which we all enjoy. They too do enjoy that right. But the difference is, in a CBDM party, for example, if they have a rally and the minister makes such a statement, it is valid, it is normal. If it's a period of campaign, it is normal. But if he speaks as a minister of a republic, this is where the fundamental issue lies.
Now, how do you think Cameroonians will react to this development, given their growing vigilance and awareness of the electoral process?
Immaculate, you already talked about their growing vigilance and awareness, which in this case, you should know that Cameroonians have not received this. And you know, when we talk about Cameroonians, we should also be mindful of the fact that not every Cameroonian is for Maurice Kamto and Cabral Libi. It's imperative that we make these things known the way they are. Howbeit, I think the group of Cameroonians you apparently are referring, or maybe you are referring to, should be the militant sympathizers of Maurice Kamto and Cabral Libi. Eventually, they will not receive this with any smile. It's a smell campaign. But the fact is, being a smell campaign against these people, it still does not have any local standing as per the law. That is the most important thing. And he should endeavor that he should not be the ones to incite Cameroonians with violence and extremism based on this action. Because it would appear from these things, you know, there is a saying, I'll go by the Bible I believe so much. The Bible calls that I should endeavor not to get my child offended so he doesn't disobey me for his days to be shorter. That means in order not to see Cameroonians being thrown behind bars, because they will revindicate, not because they plan to revindicate. They will revindicate because the minister is actually trampling on their rights, militants and sympathizers of these people and the party. The difference with Professor Maurice Kamto is he is now a person sent by Manidem and had been set by him through a press conference. Thus, he is no longer where he probably thinks the minister, Maurice Kamto, is. Maurice Kamto now has been sympathizers from that end, from his former end, which these sympathizers, they still hold him in high esteem. So I think the minister should not in subtle way try to make Cameroonians more radical. We are moving towards a period of election where we want to have a serene, peaceful, transparent, fair elections. And these are statements that he makes. The decision to change that from the website of his ministry, I think it's some kind of, that's an unlawful act, in the sense that who doesn't know the president of the PCRN party based on a court decision? That is everywhere. Who doesn't know? The little child who watched TV with the father in the house knows that Cabral Libi is the president of the PCRN party, and they know that Agnesene Kane is the person who sat on the different radio and TV platforms, on newspaper, and said from his party, he did not say he said they have decided that Maurice Kamto should lead them. Thus, I don't think that the minister is indeed acting in good faith. It is something that he has every right to backtrack. It's not an issue. He has to backtrack that information. Let him go back, update it with the people involved. And people like Robert Kona should not be happy, because they should not be a tool to create, unstable environment. They should not be happy about it. Let the Yebga of Manideb not happy. He should not be happy about this, because his name is being rubbished where history will not have him smile at. So what does he think exactly, which I want to believe that he is not equally happy? It's not all about money, but we should think about a republic. We are already suffering from the north. We are looking at the restive regions, the English-speaking regions, where we are struggling with the non-state armed groups. We don't want a situation where it will be national.
Now, what implications would all these political maneuvers have for the credibility and transparency of the upcoming presidential elections come October 12th?
Those of us who are within the active arm of the civil society in the Republic, several persons have walked up to us to ask questions if this is already a way to remove these people, from the election. And I keep telling them that no, it is not a way to remove these people. The only competent institution to remove these people will be the Constitutional Council. When Elecam and the Constitutional Council must have done their job, then we will know. Because Elecam could as well say you are not qualified. And if maybe the independent candidate or the person sent by a party says, okay, I'm qualified based on these and these and these rules, then the Constitutional Council now may sit to litigate over some of these things. So Cameroonians, of course, they are receiving it with a lot of doubt. And this comes to thwart our democracy. The head of state once said that we are an advanced democracy. I think that this election should not be an issue. Why is he giving the impression that the incumbent party, the ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, the CBDM party, is afraid? Because this is the impression he's giving. Whereas the party is equally prepared like every other party. If you look at the mobilization the party is doing from left to right. Yesterday in Boya, we had the head of FACO, Professor Nalonga Lyonga. She was in town for that. meaning they are equally preparing. We have seen Gongo has carried out several consultative talks with different people where Atanganji himself, the minister, said the people have their unflinching support for the head of state. So why is he afraid of these two people? Why must it be Cabral Libi and Kamto? And these are the people that featured, you know, in his discussion on Actualité Hebdo, I think on the state media, you know. So I think that there is something hidden that these people apparently has. But again, to put it straight, let's be reasonable. Imagine that these people end up giving their support to someone, or they end up being elected. Where would the minister himself be? Let's think about these things. We should not focus on trivialities. It's election. We have seen how the people loved Mr. Biya. He had 70-something% in 2018. And that love has not changed. That is why they have all the councils in the two English-speaking regions. Which means they have the ability. If you go to the parliament, they are the dominant party. You go to the Senate, they are the dominant party. Regional council elections, they are the dominant party. So I think by this, it tells that they are loved by the people. By this. So why is he afraid of Maurice Kamto and Cabral Libi? And they are not the only candidate. So why is he afraid of these two? What does Cameroonian not know about these people? The minister should tell us. We need to.
NJI Lucas, civil society actor, thank you so much for your time. And that's all put a cap to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for always staying with us. See you next week, God willing. Have a wonderful evening in the company of interesting programs on Equinoxe Television. Bye-bye for now.